So what are some ways that families can transition into childcare at different ages?
Well, first, it's helpful if parents can understand what constitutes good quality childcare. And one example of that would be that the early childhood educators have training in early child development. That's probably one of the most important features of good quality childcare. Visiting the childcare ahead of time together is great. So if parents can get in and see what the space looks like and talk to the early childhood educators, then they can know what to expect. Even very young children, infants, want to know what to expect. They want to know that when they give a signal or if they have a need, that someone is going to respond to them. If parents can reassure their child, especially if the child is old enough to use words, then to listen to the child and hear what the child has to say and reassure the child. In the case of a child as a young infant, parents can let the early childhood educators know what their child's unique needs may be. This could be biological needs such as when to be fed and diapering routines and what the sleep and awake time schedules might be. That's very helpful for the early childhood educator to know a child's unique biological needs. And another one is temperament. So the goodness of fit is quite important here. So if early childhood educators understand that a child might be slow to warm up, that is, may be fine with strangers but needs some time, then that early childhood educator can plan for that child's program accordingly. With toddlers, there'd be less sleeping time and more awake and usually busy time. Young toddlers are not often able to keep sustained attention at a quiet activity for a long time. So if parents can help early childhood educators to understand the kind of arousal levels of their toddler and what kinds of things might attract her attention or his attention, that can help the early childhood educator to plan. Food and nutrition are critical components, so clearly parents helping the early childhood educators to know food preferences, dislikes, of course allergies, and their child's eating patterns. Talking about the child's temperamental style and attachment behavior is important for this reason. Many parents feel undue stress and guilt when their child cries at their departure. But if they are assured that this is a very typical kind of behavior, kind of response on the part of children, and that early childhood educators are well trained to take care of that, then parents can go off to work or school feeling assured that their child is in good hands.
For children from families whose first language isn't English, will they need extra help? And what can their parents do to help them transition?
It's really helpful when schools are able to make that extra effort to reach out to families in the community, especially to newcomers to Canada. Those who are recent immigrants may not speak English as a first language, and so language issues are important to them. If the school hasn't contacted the family, then the family should contact the school. I really recommend this because it's important for families to get into the school and learn about school in their new country as soon as they can. Schools can get translation help if that's needed, if the families are not comfortable enough in English. Parents need to know what to expect so that when they're communicating with their child, they can do so in their home language and reassure their child about what to expect as their child transitions to school. And parents can also learn by contacting the school how to stay in regular contact with the school even though they don't speak English. Many schools have organized programs for families to get involved, to stay involved. We know that once they're involved early, they tend to stay involved throughout the child's schooling. Parents will learn the strategies that teachers use in the classroom to help their child who doesn't speak English. For instance, being able to interpret hand gestures, and the parent can reassure their child that soon they will be able to understand enough English. Often schools set up a system whereby children in the school who speak the child's language are able to come in and help the child, especially early on in the year. And teachers will typically arrange for special friends, either special friends in the class, same age friends who speak the same language so they can do activities together, or maybe cross-grade friends, buddies, older buddies in the school who speak the language. The most important thing is for children to understand that teachers do care about them and they will always try to help them.
Are there any academic preparations that parents should make as their child is starting kindergarten?
I think the biggest academic preparation is motivation. And I could give an example from reading. So if parents engage in reading activities at home and show children that reading is fun and is something that parents value, then children are more likely to be motivated to read or to want to read or engage in literacy activities. And that goes for other areas as well, numeracy and scientific exploration. So motivation would be my number one recommendation to parents. We know that parents' interest in children's learning is associated with what their children actually learn. So just talking about school is very important. But apart from this kind of academic preparation, if you will, parents should get other kinds of information. For instance, should their child bring a snack to school? What kind of clothes should their child wear to participate in all kinds of activities that take place in kindergarten, such as outdoor play or in the gym, clothes that they can romp around in and be comfortable in. Another preparation that parents can help with their child is to foster independence. For instance, learning how to take off winter clothing or put on winter clothing. This helps the teacher a great deal, and it also gives children a sense of self-esteem that they can be independent. And something that we often overlook is just getting their child to school on time. This is important. It shows that there's a value in punctuality. It helps the teacher who's already begun the morning or afternoon activities, and the child doesn't then miss out on some important part of the activity, such as a story reading. So in conclusion, I would say that transition to school is not just about getting children ready to start school. In fact, I don't like to see readiness as something that's within the child. Transition to school is really a step along the continuum of life, and it begins in infancy when babies learn how to self-regulate through interactions with responsive caregivers. When babies learn how to manage their feelings, they can adjust their behavior to cope with transitions, such as absences from the parent, or meeting new people, or visiting new places, or starting childcare. And transition to school is easier for children who've learned how to cope with change. These children are more able to engage deeply in their play and to learn from play experiences. And transition to kindergarten is more than just a child starting school. It involves the family's transition into a new environment, and it involves the school's participation in welcoming children and families. So active outreach by schools to welcome families can go a long way to facilitating the transition. Families' willingness to become involved in their child's education is equally important. We know that when parents become involved early on, they stay involved throughout the child's schooling. Our research supports this, and we know that although the form of parent involvement may change as the child gets older, it is nevertheless important for parents to stay engaged. Just talking about school has been shown to have benefits for children's learning. So the message is not only for parents to become involved and stay involved, but for schools to reach out and to welcome all families so that the school can become the hub of the community.